KFI AM 640. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere, the iHeartRadio app. And you can't see this, but in my studio, it's not dark outside. It's not dark because we're now in daylight saving singular time.
Nice.
It's not dark. And the drive-in was not all that horrible. And I think people are waiting a little bit later at work because they don't feel the need to rush home because it's not dark at 4:30. They might stay a little later, maybe spread out the amount of traffic over those 2.5 hours. It's not dark at 7 o'clock. I love this time of year. They say Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year. No, daylight saving time is the most wonderful time of the year. Good evening, Mark Ronner. How you doing, brother?
Hello, Mo. Good to see you. All rested and rehydrated from the weekend.
You are, or I am?
I don't know. Does tequila rehydrate you or
no.
Dehydrate?
It dehydrates.
I get them mixed up.
Yes, all alcohol dehydrates you.
Okay, restart.
The rules are for every drink you have, you're supposed to have a drink of water. What I mean, if you can have a full drink, you can have a full drink of water, like 8 ounces.
Oh, I thought it was for every drink you have another drink. But I'm back to normal now.
No, I did that in my 20s, and I couldn't realize why I was always so thirsty and dehydrated in the morning. That's why you're supposed to hydrate as you drink.
Well, it's all connected.
All this is useless information now. I should have been doing that back in my 20s, not in my 50s.
Well, I'm glad you cleared it up for me just now. Caught up on some stuff over the weekend, watched some stuff, ate some stuff. You?
Yeah, look, I was busy all damn weekend. Taught 3 classes of Hapkido, then officiated 4 basketball games for the Manhattan Beach Youth Basketball League, but it was separated. So I had Hapkido from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Then I had officiate from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then Sunday, I just did a lot of this, that, and the other, mostly resting because my hips are killing me.
Not everything comes back to a Star Trek episode, but have you ever thought of just resting?
Yeah. I was resting most of yesterday.
Okay.
Seriously, I was resting, getting ready for this Hapkido tournament that we're planning for Southern California. But I'll tell you about that some other time.
Okay, this daylight saving will take a lot out of you. You got to rest up.
No, it actually did because you lose that hour and you don't realize it and felt my Sunday was truncated. It was like, wait a minute, it's time to go to bed already? Yeah, because you lost that hour. Didn't know it. Mm-hmm. And I woke up at like 10 o'clock, daylight saving time. So I was already behind the 8 ball. But we'll talk about that later. Also on the show tonight, bad news to report. A second person has died of measles. The second death, which was 100% avoidable and preventable. And measles has also hit Maryland. We'll talk about that next segment. And you might have heard by now that Elon Musk is not the most popular person in America. Not right now, at least. And there are protests nationwide regarding Doge and also Tesla. We'll tell you about that. We have audio from that. And also Elon Musk and his interview on Fox Business today with Larry Kudlow. We'll get to hear what he had to say. And just by the way, we've taken away the rim shot from Stefan. He doesn't know it yet, but we're making a formal announcement. We've rescinded his rim shot privileges. He's been laying down on the job. That's not a joke, so there's no need for you to give me a rim shot for that. That's truth. Okay. That's serious. Hi, Stefan.
Hi.
Here's how I wanted to really start. Seriously. Do you remember last week in one of my final thoughts, I said that basically everything a president does, everything a president says, it either inspires confidence or it creates concern. And although we may have had our feelings about that joint congressional speech last week, we may have loved it, we may have hated it. It really didn't matter. There was going to be a response, not only from the markets, but also our allies and different countries around the world. They're going to not only respond to the speech, but they're going to respond to the things which are going to be done or have been done since the speech, but still connected to the speech. We heard about the tariffs. Well, the tariffs have now started on some level with some countries. And I said that countries would also respond. Canada has responded loudly today. People are responding loudly. The stock market has gone into the toilet. The stock price for Tesla has gone into the toilet. Those are responses not only to the speech, but the direction that we're headed. And you may think, hey, you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. I'm all the way behind President Trump and what he's doing because I know on the other side we're going to be a better country. Okay, we shall see. I'm saying that there are markers that you can point to which show you where we're headed. And my 401k is not happy. Not even a little bit. Not even a tiny bit. Because, I don't know, Mark, we went down, 900 points today, and I think that's more than 2,000 since the speech, if I'm not mistaken.
Dow was down 890, S&P 500 down 156, NASDAQ down 728. That's large. Do you want to hear the sound effect again?
Sure.
Oh, my God. That's how you sum that up.
That sounds kind of sexual, though.
No, that's Charlton Heston from the Omega Man.
Well, it was one and the same. It still sounded sexual.
I guess it could be both. He was a handsome, virile man.
Yes. Often had his shirt off.
A lot of body hair.
I just said shirt off, but yes,
okay.
You are correct. My point is we're seeing an ongoing response. And I did say we're in a precarious time here in America, and it's going to be really, really bumpy. I don't know what's going to happen with the stock market tomorrow. You may have a slight rebound because if you do any investing, after a large drop, people will start buying the dips, as they say, because they can get discounts on some stocks that they've maybe been watching. I would expect a slight rebound tomorrow. But if we do not have one, look out, because this can get real bad real quick.
Well, we had the best economy post-COVID in the entire world 2 months ago, and we turned it around really fast. Because we can't have that.
I was told otherwise. I was told it was the worst economy in 40 years. That's what I was told. Now, I can't find numbers to support that. Yes, inflation is higher now than in quite some time. But if you look at the actual numbers in which an economy is measured, excuse me in my Georgetown business degree, but I'm looking at GDP, GNP, unemployment, the stock market, those particular indicators as to the relative health of our economy. Was it the best of all time? No. Was it the worst in 40 years? Absolutely not. It was actually pretty damn good when you look at the job growth, another measurement. Now, what do you think unemployment is going to be in 2 months, given all these Doge cuts? What do you think the job numbers are going to be in 2 months? I'm just saying there are particular indicators that we can look at right now and see where they're trending. It is going to be a very bumpy ride for the foreseeable future. Doesn't mean that we're going to end up in a ditch, but it could mean we could lose control of the car.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
We've been covering this measles outbreak, which has covered mostly the southwest portion of the United States. But now it's also in places like New Jersey, Maryland, the country of Canada. And part of the reason, I would say most of the reason, is due to the fact that these exposures seem to have started thanks to an airport, thanks to someone passing through an airport who was carrying the disease and exposed any number of travelers, and they're going to their place, their intended destination. But now we have a second fatality in the past week or so, and this was an unvaccinated adult. Doesn't give a lot of information other than that the second person was someone who lived in New Mexico. To give a little history, and just in case you didn't know, we talked about how measles was considered eliminated in this country in 2000. Now there some maybe 300 cases, and this is the second death since 2015. And before 2015, there was a death in 2003. Eradicated in 2000, and now we're seeing, I would say, almost annual outbreaks, varying levels, but just about annually now. The only thing which has changed since 2000 is our vaccine behavior. That's the only thing. We're not talking about a type of measles which is somehow mutated and the vaccine is no longer effective in combating. These are unvaccinated individuals. The MMR, measles, mumps, rubella, vaccine is 97% effective. And the person who died in New Mexico was a resident of Lea County, not too far from Texas, where the outbreak originated. They didn't give the person any other qualities or qualifications or age or anything like that. Some other stats that I think are relevant to highlight once again. Every 1 in 5 measles cases require hospitalization, and about 3 in every 1,000 result in death. Meaning, basic math here, the wider this outbreak, the more people who are infected. And we know that if you are unvaccinated and you come into contact with someone who has been exposed or who is carrying it, there's a 9 in 10 chance that you will be infected as well. There's a good chance that this outbreak could become exponential very quickly. Very quickly. It's one of the most contagious diseases known. Now, the mortality rate isn't particularly high, but if you have more and more people exposed, then invariably you will have more people who will die unnecessarily, completely avoidable. And I'm waiting, not hoping for, but I'm waiting. I'm actually surprised that this has not impacted a school yet, or maybe it has and we just haven't been made aware of it yet. But when you have a measles outbreak and it's spreading in states with, on average, a lower vaccination rate than the rest of the country, I'm expecting, since it is more pervasive amongst kids, that we would see a school outbreak, and heaven help if that were to happen. This is avoidable. What if I were to tell you that 2 people in the past week were killed by undocumented immigrants? What would be your response then? You don't have to tell me. I know what your response would be. I'm just saying, just think to yourself. If I told you that 2 people in the past week were killed by Muslim terrorists, what would your response be? You'd probably call for some sort of legislation, some sort of lockdown, some sort of prohibition, something, because you would say that this is avoidable. This does not need to happen. How is this, measles, any different? If you can keep people from dying from measles, why in the hell wouldn't you? It's not about freedom, I guess, when it comes to dying of diseases, right? Yeah, we don't mind dying from measles, but don't let them damn illegal immigrants come in our country. We don't mind dying from measles. Oh, a few people here, a few people there, but we can't let them Muslim terrorists harm Americans. I thought all lives matter. Oops, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. I don't understand the arrogance. I don't understand the insolence. I don't understand the indolence. I don't understand the requirement to remain so close-minded that people have to die just so you can be right. I thought being a patriot is rooting for America. I thought being a patriot would mean rooting for the protection of American citizens. That's how I interpret it. I consider love of country to be somewhat connected to the health and welfare of citizens. And if we can't affirmatively pursue the health of American citizens, can we really call ourselves patriots? And these are just hypothetical. I don't need an answer. I don't need you to hit me on Instagram at Mr. Mo Kelly. I don't need to hear all that, okay? Because I don't want to get into a back and forth about why you don't vaccinate yourself or your kids. I'm not having that conversation. I'm just saying 2 people have died in the past week from a disease that was thought to be eradicated in this country in 2000. They didn't have to die. And I know if I change the story to say it was an undocumented immigrant, you would lose your ish. And you would say, we have to deport these people. We have to do something within the bounds of the law so American citizens don't become victims. How is it any different if it is, in fact, preventable? We're talking about 97% effective. No one has to die from measles. And I said after the first person died, I'm pretty sure, Twaller, remind me if I'm wrong, I said that there will be others who will die.
You said that. Exactly that.
So let me just say it again before we go to break. This is not the last person who's going to die from measles. This is not going to be the last avoidable and unnecessary death from a disease that we can prevent people from dying from. It's not going to be the last one. And you know what the response is going to be? It's going to be just like this one. Silence. Indifference. Because it conflicts with people's personal politics. Because it's not about life. This is where I get so pissed off at the pro-life crowd. You're pro-zygote. You don't give a damn about people. You don't give a damn about people living. You just care about zygotes, those two-celled pre-people that match with your politics. It's measles. We can keep people from dying from it. And there are more who are going to die. Why? Because you don't want to vaccinate your kids. Because vaccines give kids autism. Because vaccines, I don't know what I'm putting in my body. And then you're going to go out and stick yourself with Ozempic.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Like or loathe Elon Musk, I think it's fair to say he did not have a good day today. At all. Let me just start with Tesla. Tesla, for the year, its stock is down 41%. That's billions and billions of dollars lost net worth for Elon Musk. It's down $157 year to date. That's January 1st to March 10th. 41.43%. Right now, it sits at $222. I say that because Elon Musk has to answer to stockholders, shareholders. It's a little bit different. Yeah, Elon Musk, the individual, he's going to be fine. But as president of the company, chairman and CEO, there are still people that he has to answer to as far as the fortunes of the country, or in this case, diminishing fortunes of the country. That's just the stock price. Then when you add into that the protests around Elon Musk, which is not just Tesla, it's not just Doge, it's not just SpaceX, it's kind of just anything that has any association with Elon Musk.
I think they actually want to kill me.
Oh, this is Elon Musk on Joe Rogan last week talking about the protests then.
I think they actually want to kill me. And the reason I know is, well, they say so online. You know, there's like Reddit forums where they don't just want to kill me, they want to desecrate my corpse.
The rage at Elon Musk is indeed out of control and increasingly violent. Protesters clashing with police outside a Tesla building in New York City over the weekend. Protests, vandalism, even arson gripping Tesla locations across the country, including a Molotov cocktail landing in a dealership lot.
Well, I know that in Manhattan is not only just East Coast, but it's West Coast. I told you about the protests right outside of SpaceX, not too far from me. These are escalating. And as the protests escalate, this is what I mean. The protesters in this sense don't necessarily have to have an ask or a goal, because they're just trying to make life difficult for Elon Musk. And they know they can do that in the way that you make his brand toxic. So that's what they're trying to do. They can impact the stock price. Are they going to get rid of Elon Musk? Absolutely not. He's not going anywhere. So if you think that that's the goal, that you can shame him into removing himself from the public eye, no, that's not going to happen. But going back to Tesla, there are shareholders that he has to answer to. And nobody who's invested millions of dollars or even thousands of dollars in a company wants to see that stock price drop 40%. Now, in another conversation, actually earlier today on Fox News with Larry Kudlow, Elon Musk had this to say, and this is part of the reason why people are protesting. In his effort to cull fraud, waste, and abuse, he has identified Social Security and also Medicaid, which is called different things in different states, but Medicaid as one of the biggest purveyors of fraud and abuse. And he calls them entitlements. Far be it from me to correct the wealthiest man on earth, but Social Security is not an entitlement. It's not something that's given to us, which is unearned or as a gift or as a grant. I've been paying into Social Security since I was 15 years old. Am I going to get all that back when I retire? I don't know. Social Security probably won't be insolvent. Who knows? And yes, there is an issue with the solvency of Social Security. But when you frame it as an entitlement, it's something like, you didn't deserve that. You just want to have it. You know, you're just sucking on the of America. It's not true. It's simply not true. And I want to use that as a precursor. So when you hear this, when he says entitlements, he's specifically talking about Social Security and also Medicaid.
Nobody complains if they receive money. But they do complain if they don't receive money. And the people that complain the loudest are the ones receiving the fraudulent money.
And you're on it.
Yeah. I mean, so the goal here is let's not have America go bankrupt with waste and fraud.
That's a worthy goal. But how he intends to get there is where I have a question.
So that's what I'm here for. And we're making good progress.
Yes, you are.
How do we know? Larry Kudlow says, yes, you are. How do we know that you're making good progress? Because you're just cutting people's jobs? Or are you actually cutting fraud, waste, and abuse? I would like to see some sort of delineation. You know, this is what we found. This is what we're cutting. This is why we're cutting it. At this point, I'm just supposed to take his word for it. There's no like actual report.
We're making good progress.
Yes, you are. You're going to go another year?
Yeah, I think so.
Final report, middle of next year?
Well, we're just getting things done as opposed to writing a report.
Whoa. We're just getting things done as opposed to writing a report? You're saying if the IRS wanted to audit you or me, that we're just supposed to take their word for it? They're not going to show us any paperwork. They're going to say, hey, you owe us $25,000 because you were cheating on your taxes. Well, show it to me. No. You just have to take our word for it because we don't have time for a report.
Well, we're just getting things done as opposed.
They're just getting things done too.
Well, we're just getting things done as opposed to writing a report. Like say, reports don't mean anything.
Yes, they do. It's the difference between talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, and validating waste, fraud, and abuse.
Reports don't mean anything. You got to actually take action.
Yes.
Just take action. No report. No kind of evidence. Just cutting portions of government as you say so with no oversight. And here's something else. I might even have to carry this over to the next segment because there's a lot to cover here. Here's something else. How do we know that any of this is not serving his own personal interest since he is also a government contractor getting millions of dollars from the federal government for Tesla, for Starlink, for SpaceX? How do we know that? I mean, I'm being facetious because we know there's a conflict of interest. And with the conflict of interest, you're not going to give us a report. You're not going to actually detail the waste, fraud, and abuse. Let's say I intellectually agree with all of that. And I do, but I think all of us can agree with the premise that we want to limit waste, fraud, and abuse. Can you at least show me some sort of forensic accounting of it, as opposed to you saying, I don't think that is worthy of that budget, which has been congressionally apportioned. Okay, this is an approved budget. It's not like someone just slipped it in as a line item. This is a budget which went before Congress and was voted upon. And there's a constitutionality issue as well.
So the waste report in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements.
He is talking about Social Security and Medicaid specifically, but does not want to use those words.
Which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. So that's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here and then turning them into voters.
The politics aside, because I don't want to get distracted by that, the Social Security is mine. The Social Security is yours. The Social Security is what you paid into for all of your working life. It has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats or illegal immigrants. That has to do with your money. Your money.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Last segment, I was talking about Elon Musk within the context of the protests against him and his brands, anything associated with him, because of what he's doing with the federal government, Doge, the firings of so many thousands of government workers under the auspices of waste, fraud, and abuse. When I play the audio, we're not getting a report. We're not getting any type of forensic audit of what he's doing and why he's doing it. We're just going to have to take his word for it. How that's supposed to work, I have no idea. And I don't think it should work for any reasonable person. I'm quite sure if Joe Biden brought George Soros in and did the exact same damn thing and said, you're not going to get a report, you're just going to have to take my word for it because we should all agree that there's waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government, and thousands upon thousands of veterans specifically were going to be fired, and Social Security and Medicaid are in the crosshairs, I'm sure that if you support Elon Musk right now, you probably would not support George Soros. I use him as, he's the Democratic boogeyman. He's a person who supposedly is pulling all these strings and has all this money and is tied to everything, and he's the puppet master. My point is, a reasonable person would say, hey, you'd have to actually show us what you're doing and why. And also, I wanted to point out how many tentacles that Elon Musk has in every facet of our federal government, from our Social Security to our medical records, to our banking records, to our employment records. And I have to assume that he's using the highest quality encryption and security possible, right? Because that would be a threat to be hacked, right? We would assume that type of data would be worth billions and billions of dollars, especially to an adversarial nation state, right? Are we to assume that data is somehow air-gapped and not accessible anywhere? Are we to assume that data that he has and has access to is not somewhere connected to his X servers? Because I know a little something about computers and, hacking, and just a little something. I'm inclined to believe that all of this information is probably on servers housed in some place together. So in other words, if X were to be hacked, then it would seem to be logical that our other information connected to all things Elon Musk would be compromised as well.
Okay, this just in, John, if you're having issues on X today, perhaps you are at home. I certainly have been today. Apparently there is an outage, and Elon Musk now says that a foreign actor might be responsible for this. This is what he wrote. He says there still is a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources, either a large coordinated group and or a country is involved. So some serious allegations.
Do you think a country is interested in quote unquote X? I don't think a country is concerned with a social media platform. I do think a country, and we're taking Elon Musk at his word. He says that they were hacked. He says it was someone who had a lot of resources, possibly a nation. If all that's true, I'm inclined to believe that a country would be interested in all of the data on his servers, probably not having to do with X. X just could have been a backdoor or an entry point. That's what I would believe, because if I know the guy who has all of America's financial records, all of America's, also he's in the Pentagon as well. Also military secrets, also medical records, personnel. I'm quite sure that is of great value to a foreign adversarial nation.
Okay, this just in, John, if you're having issues on X today, perhaps you are at home. I certainly have been today. Apparently there is an outage, and Elon Musk now says that a foreign actor might be responsible for this. This is what he wrote. He says there still is a massive cyber attack against X. We get attacked every day, but this was done with a lot of resources, either a large coordinated group and or a country is involved. So some serious allegations there from the owner of X. Musk will be on Fox Business later on this afternoon with Larry Kudlow, hopefully with an update on what is happening there.
We played you some of that. And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. I'm trying to think, what if, as in a distinct possibility. What if the hack was not limited to X? What reason is there to believe, legitimately, that they would only try to hack X and none of his other far more valuable data possessions? Exactly. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Prepare to be stimulated. KFI
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.